But what exactly do you believe God's role is for grandparents? And if you want to share some scriptures, that would be fine as well, in letting even people know God's position for grandparents, their importance in having a role or a place in their grandchild's life, and or some scriptures on what it is where a grandparent should be in their role as a grandparent.
Yeah. I'll start with quickly summarizing what society tells you your role is as a grandparent with two words: independence and indulgence. And the indulgence one you'll recognize. Our society says that your role is to spoil your grandkids, to have fun with them, and then send them home to where the real work of spiritual formation is done, if you're a Christian, or if you're a non-Christian, to let mom and dad do their mom and dad things. And of course, having fun is great. Where it becomes a problem is when it becomes the end goal and the totality of what we're aiming for. And so we want to recognize that. We want to reject that. The second one that really applies to what we're talking about today is this idea of independence. And so our society says essentially that moms and dads and grandmas and grandpas are to live two separate existences, this radical individualism that exists. And you've heard this in our world, this idea of don't be a burden, don't overstep your whatever the lines are, which is often negotiated on a family by family basis. And if you do that, oftentimes you experience consequences, restrictions, alienations, and sometimes you might question, like, what did I even do? I don't even know what happened.
Yeah.
And that's because there's the definition of what is okay and acceptable is really family by family. And so our world says, grandparents, you really don't have a serious role other than spoiling and having fun. And so you need to be kept at a distance. And the problem, of course, is if we accept this idea of this really individualistic kind of living, this, and operate according to these values, it makes having an intimate relationship very difficult with our family, even if there's no alienation, because then you've got distance to overcome, whether that's geographical or whether that's emotional. But it creates the need for these complicated bridges to be built in order to have and maintain a very intimate relationship. And so what ends up happening is that distance just sets in, and distance primarily emotionally and intimately, and that grows over time to where I hear a lot of grandparents lament, like, man, I just don't know my children like I had hoped to, or like I used to, or I don't communicate with my family as often as I would like. I'd love to talk on the phone more. I'd love to see them in person. And I feel like I'm not a priority. I feel like I'm just not important to my family. And those are all symptoms of this social contract that we have agreed to, really unconsciously, that this is how things need to operate within our society. And if you have some different experience where that's not the case, congratulations, because you have bucked the norm for our society. But that essentially sets the groundwork for either emotional distance, or if we then break some of whatever these values are that are your kids may have unknowingly, then you experience alienation from that.